Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I need to make sure everybody's awake. You have to be listening. You need to get your, both ears on, because the time that you have is limited. And, this is going to be a two-part program, I think. We're going to go up until the Shah and then come back for the real part of, question and answers and things like that. I'm not going to talk long at all. I'm only here to introduce to you Sheikh Abdul Hakim Quick, who is, I've known him for many years. I've seen him in many countries, talking about many topics. And he's here today to talk to us about fighting temptation and inshallah giving the youth tools that they need to succeed. It's one thing to say, oh Allah protect me, but there's also things that Allah has given us, things in our tradition that you can use to fight temptation and fight the tricks of shaitan, and even more having the willpower to even want to fight the temptations. So he's come a long way. I want to give the mic right to him, but I want to make sure that even though it's a large crowd, we're very respectful. If you have any conversations, you can take them outside, take notes, and make sure we have some good questions for him, inshallah. Without further ado, Sheikh Abdul Hakim Quick.
Please have to go outside.
And this is a joint program with Qurtaba program and the Adams Youth Committee to present this to you, inshallah. Do you want me to say something about the books, or you just...
No. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala sayyidil mursaleen wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa ba'd. My beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, it is again a pleasure to be with you, especially with the younger generation, because it is young people who will live in the future. And really the future for the Muslim Ummah lies with them. They are the ones, inshallah, who will be carrying this message. And so it is very important for us to be open with each other, to be very clear, because we are living in very difficult times. Not necessarily difficult, especially here in the West, physically. You may be enjoying yourself physically, but it is difficult in trying to understand what is happening around us. It's confusing times. And you're getting sights and sounds and symbols. Things are coming at you now, especially the younger generation. Things are coming at you like no other people have ever experienced before. And our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he did not speak from himself, but he spoke from above 7 heavens. And it is reported in an authentic hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, يَكُونُ فِي آخِرِ الزَّمَانِ كَذَّابُونَ دَجَّالُونَ يأتونكم من الأحاديث بما لم تسمعوا أنتم ولا آباؤكم فإياكم وإياهم لا يضلونكم ولا يفتنونكم. The Prophet ﷺ said, there will come near the end of time great liars, false prophets, and they will come to you with a type of speech that neither you nor your parents have ever heard of before. Beware of them. Beware that they take you astray, and beware that they put you into a fitna. And a fitna is a trial, it's temptation. It's a gray area, something that's not clear around us. And Sadaqa Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, the time has come, this time has come. He said, they will come to you with a type of speech, it's a type of communication. Neither you or your parents have ever heard of this before. Digital technology. In a short period of time, communication has completely changed. And now we are able to communicate with people all around the world. A message can be sent simultaneously. It can be watched, a program can be watched, an event can be watched by people all over the planet. But the problem with this, as the Prophet ﷺ said, you can either learn simultaneously or you can be confused simultaneously. They can make what is false appear as though it is true. And they can make what is true appear as though it is false. With digital technology, they can take your face, they can put words into your mouth, they can say something, it looks like you did it and you said it, and it's so professional, you're not even sure about yourself. So this is an age of deception. And in the time of Fir'aun and Musa alayhi salam, the Sahara, the magicians around him, they could take their ropes and sticks, they could make it appear to be a snake. But this technology has gone way past the magicians of Fir'aun. This can now create a false reality and have you live inside of that false reality, have you relate to that false reality more than anything else and love that false reality. And so this is a time we need to be very clear with each other and try to work on practical issues and speak very openly with you. And after traveling to 60 countries, I traveled in the Muslim world to 60 countries, staying with Muslims, seeing what their problems are, especially going amongst the young people. And there are certain issues which are similar in the younger generation all over the world. There's certain points and crises that you are facing which is different than our generation. And so we need to try to understand this, because Muslims right now have the potential to lead the world. We have the wealth, we have numbers, we have strategic position, but something on the inside has to change. And as we spoke of in the last few days constantly, Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in Surah Al-Ra'd, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change that which is in themselves. No change. And so the first change, the first major change that has to happen is inside of the individual. It's the heart. The Prophet ﷺ said there's a lump of flesh, إِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُدْغَةً إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبُ. He said in the body there is a lump of flesh. If it goes right, the whole body is right. And if it is corrupted, if your inside spirit is corrupted, everything is going to go wrong. Everything. So it's inside of us. That's where we first have to begin. Then we have to look at our families and our communities and not just speak on the outside, but start to talk to each other about real issues. And I want to make you aware of a study that was done by UNESCO, United Nations Educational Foundation. And what they found out was amazing. Now normally their reports are very superficial, but this report that came out about 2 years ago was an interesting study. And what it was talking about is this new generation in the 21st century of people. And what they found is that in the 21st century, this is the largest generation. It is the largest group, or the largest group of people in the 21st century are people between the ages of 15 and 24. This is the largest group. And they found that over 48% of the world's population are under 24 years old. So if you were to take the Muslims now in Northern Virginia, if everybody came out for Salatul Eid, and we had one musalla, Eidgah, and everybody came out to it, and we had everybody come out, women, children, families, everybody, you would see that the majority of the people on that field are young people. They're the overwhelming majority. And this is the way it is in just about every society of the world. So this is a different generation. But shockingly, what they found out is on the African continent, it's 60% are under 24. And also you look at Muslim countries, and you will generally see that it is somewhere around 60%, 50, 60% of Muslims are also under 24 years old. Not 48. It's more around 60%. And what they found, this generation is in crisis. Serious crisis. And I want to share with you a few points that they made. I want to reflect on these points and then go back to some of them later. But what they found out is that this generation, there is 5 areas of crisis that young people you will have to deal with. 5 international crises. And these crises are going to get larger and larger and larger. Number 1, violence. It is violence. People are killing each other and destroying things like no other time in history. We have developed the capabilities to destroy the whole planet. And violence is all around us. Violence now in the international media, you'll see most of the time it's violence. If they have a movie and nobody's getting killed, a lot of people, they don't like that movie. They're bored because nobody's getting killed. Violence has become something like almost a normal thing to see. In other countries, even where they don't have television, they experience violence. Number 2, and this is an international report. So this is Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindu, Buddhist, atheist, everybody. The second great crisis facing the youth is the erosion of traditional values. The traditional values that your family has, it's leaving now. And a new set of values comes. When you want to eat your food, and you go out to the mall and there's a lot of restaurants and young people here or in China or many places, you go to the restaurant, they say, what would you like to eat? And they usually say, burgers and fries. Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like only in Kentucky they fry chicken. You have beautiful kebabs. You have beautiful samosas, biryani, injera, all types of beautiful food you have. But the younger generation, burgers and fries. One person called it the McDonaldization of the world. And I entered into a Muslim country, not going to say which one it is, and I came in the Muslim country, we passed through immigration, and we were driving in the dark, and the first thing I saw was the golden arches. And this is a famous Muslim country, golden arches. Okay? I came into another country in Ramadan, and it said, the golden arches were there, and it said, Ramadan Kareem. And the golden arches are in front of you. McDonald's. It's all over the place. And so, your values are under attack. Your values in terms of your modesty, your values in terms of your prayer, your values in terms of family. The whole traditional system is now under attack, and a new system is being given to you with digital technology. It's coming to you in story forms. It's in story forms. And it's coming to you, you're watching the story, you're enjoying yourself, but they're teaching you something at the same time. They're teaching you values, they're teaching you color, they're teaching you how to look at the world. And so that's the second point. Number 3 of the crises areas, disease. Disease is an international problem. And I can attest to this because I spent 10 years in South Africa. And one of the crises people are facing there, the HIV/AIDS crisis, has reached the point in some parts of South Africa, 30% of the population is HIV positive. 30%. A Muslim doctor came in the area, and he came to me and he said that he was told by the South African doctors, you can just consider every person that comes in the door HIV positive. Because if 30% is positive, then you can consider everybody. And it's not just in South Africa. There are different new types of diseases that are spreading around, viruses that are spreading around now like no other time, even though we have the capability to stop them. So disease, number 3. Number 4, poverty. Poverty, poor people. What you see even in America now, the 99%, people are in the streets everywhere. Poverty. Right now, the majority of the people in the world live on only $2.50 per day. That is the majority of the people on earth. And this poverty will be causing international crises, will affect everybody on the planet. Number 5, drugs, meaning illegal drugs. This is a problem which is a crisis. And again, living in South Africa, we were in the center because the international drug trade has now changed, and South Africa is the center of the international drug trade, because the drugs from South America, the drugs from Asia are processed through South Africa, and everything's on the street. So we had to face problems in our community dealing with drugs, extremely serious problems. What are some of the solutions that we will face? And we'll go back to some of this later, but I want to show you what the United Nations was even saying. What are some of the solutions? And alhamdulillah, this center, I believe, is one of the most advanced places, but you can still learn something. What are the solutions? These are areas that you need to work on, because you need action-oriented programs. Talk is not going to be enough. There has to be programs. And the younger generation needs action, not words. Number 1, there's 10 points focus on. This is an international problem. They found this problem amongst all nations. Solution, education. Education. And for Muslims, first, a proper education on the basis of our religion itself. Everybody needs to take some time and learn classical Arabic language, learn the foundations of the deen, of the religion, so we can understand where we're coming from. Secondly, education of what's happening in the world, what's going on in the environment. Skills training, how can we come out of this? It's crucial now. Number 2, solutions. And this especially will reach the teenagers. Employment. For the young people coming in the teens, going toward 20, employment is a crisis. Even people with college educations are having problems now. So the masjids themselves, the centers, can provide for people skills training, and then even employment. Help them in employment. Number 3, hunger and poverty. This is something that you may not be facing so much here in Northern Virginia. In Toronto, we were facing a problem. We found out even in the Muslim community, there is poverty. There's hunger in the Muslim community. And we opened up a food bank, and we turned around. We had hundreds of Muslims coming for food who didn't have enough in Toronto, in Canada. So this is an issue which is going to seriously face our community. Number 4, these are action-oriented solutions. Health issues. To deal with issues of health. Understanding what is going on with our bodies, understanding how to protect ourselves, how to strengthen ourselves to survive inside of this world. Number 5, the environment. We need to have education about what's happening in the environment around us, because the environment is changing. The environment is moving now. And shortly, there will be such major crises in the world that everything is going to change. Number 6, drug abuse. Drug abuse problems. Now this might sound strange, but drug usage and abuse, it is a real issue in the Muslim community. So in order to defeat the drugs that are coming to us and are made to seem as though they are so interesting, we need to be educated what they are and how to stay away from it. Preventive education. So before people fall into drugs, they need to be prevented from it, to understand what the drugs are. Bring in an expert on drugs. Let him show you all the types of drugs. What do they use in order to get themselves high? What happens to you? Show a human being before drugs and after drugs, so that it will not seem like it's so interesting. Because the drugs are being brought to you in a very beautiful way. Ecstasy and all these beautiful things. When I was in Medina, they had a drug, which they called it, the brothers wrote to me and they said, we have a new drug on the street, it's called angel's dust. They had PCP and angel's dust. They take embalmer's fluid from the dead bodies that they put in the dead bodies, and they snort it in their nose. And they go crazy. And they run down the street, tear their clothes off, and the next day they're in the hospital. Bruises all over the body, and they say, what happened to you? And he said, I don't know, but I had a good time. I had a good time. But I don't even know what happens. So the brother said, get a fatwa. I took it to the sheikh. That's a nice name, right? Angel's dust. I said, how can I translate this into Arabic? Turab al-malaika. Like angel's dust. The sheikh said, hot, atini. Give me some of this. But then I explained to him what it was, and he said, la, this is khamar. This is an intoxicant, and intoxication is haram. But the name is the trick. You see the digital age, right? Confusing. It has a nice name, but it's destroying your body. Number 7, juvenile delinquency. This is a serious problem throughout the planet, and especially the younger generation. Where are a lot of these things coming from? You have to remember that the struggle with human beings is an old struggle. And our greatest enemy is the shaitan himself, wal iyadu billah. And in the beginning of time, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to shaitan, that, to all the angels, usjudu li Adam, fasajadu illa iblis. He said, bow down to Adam. All the angels bowed down, and the shaitan was amongst them. He was jinni, but he was very good at the time. He refused to bow down. And when he was asked why, he said, خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. You made me from fire, and you made him from clay. I'm not going to bow to him. So Iblis, he was the first racist. That was the first racist right there. He didn't want to deal with Adam because he's clay. He's a weak person, and clay gets tired and it falls down, and I'm made from fire. You see? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala threw him out of paradise, cursed him. But the shaitan said, I will come back. Give me a chance. I will come in front of them, around them. I will make them change the creation of Allah. And sadaqallahu al-azim, you see it today, people are not satisfied with themselves. Some people's skin, they say, I'm too light, I want to get dark. So they put on suntan lotion because they want to become brown. Other people said, I'm too brown and I want to become light. So they put on chemicals to make themselves light. Sometimes their hair is too curly and they make it straight. Sometimes it's too straight and they make it curly. Some of them, they even put on false eyes. One person was going back from Canada. She was going to Trinidad or something. And I looked at her closely. I was on the plane. I said, what happened to you? She had gray eyes. And I said, your eyes have changed. She said, no, I'm coming from Canada. I got to have Canadian eyes. So she changed the color of her eyes. Just like Allah said, the shaitan would do, he will make you dissatisfied with yourself. He'll make you change the creation of Allah. I'm coming to you. I'm coming. In Surah Al-Baqarah, look at the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what He's telling us. He tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 168, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Ya ayyuhan nas, kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiba, wa la tattabi'u khutuwatish shaitan, innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. Innama ya'murukum bis-su'i wal-fahsha, wa an taqulu 'ala Allahi ma la ta'lamun. Allah said, O humanity, eat what is from the earth, halalan tayyiban. See, He said two things, right? He said halal, which is permissible, and tayyiban, which is good. It's permissible and it's good, right? Wholesome. Eat wholesome food. And that's an important point, because some people eat halal food, but it's not wholesome. In some of the countries I was in South Africa, and also I found it in many countries, Muslims were dropping dead from heart attacks. And some of them are very thin in their body, but they're dropping dead from heart attacks. Then I went to the dinner, and we had some food, and the curry, it was so greasy, the meat was floating around in it. And your hand was greasy from it. And after they ate that, they said, I want Coca-Cola, Coke Classic. So the grease and the Coca-Cola is like mixing cement. And when that goes into the body, it like blocks the arteries inside of your body. So people, because of their eating, it's halal food. I didn't say it was haram. But it's not tayyiban. You see? Halalan tayyiban. That's two things. Then Allah said, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Do not follow the footsteps of the devil, because he is to you an open enemy. He's an open enemy. There's no compromise with the shaitan. When Halloween comes, and Halloween is a clear holiday, if you study the history of Halloween, it was the followers Samhain. They believed that evil spirits were coming to the earth on that night, and they would dress in different costumes because they thought the ghosts were coming to get them. So they didn't want to be described. And it was a devil worshipping night. It's a satanic festival. So there's no compromise with this. But some Muslim came to me in one area, it was in Toronto, and they said they want to have a special program on that night. It's not Halloween, they said Halalween. Halalween. I said Halalween? You can't make Halloween halal, man. It's like taking a pig and saying Bismillah Allahu Akbar. It's not halal meat, man, because the pig is najas ayn. The pig itself is haram. So I don't care how you slaughter the pig, it doesn't become halal. What you do on Halloween, have an alternative program. Do something different so you don't get involved in the trick or treat, because they put all kinds of things in your bag, right? They can put anything in that bag. So have your program, but you don't have to call it Halalween, man. Like, don't go that far, right? Make an alternative. Allah said, the shaitan is an open enemy. There's no compromise. Why? Then Allah said, إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالسُّوءِ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. He will command you with evil and with immorality, and to say about Allah that which you know not. Look at the digital technology. Most of the heroes in the movies today, they're gangsters, bank robbers. Even the government officials in the movies are criminals. So the younger generation coming up, it's cool to be a gangster. Ocean 12 or 13 or whatever, and criminals, they're heroes, right? Robin Hood, right? Steal from the good, from the rich, and give it to the poor, right? Robin of the Hood. That's the concept. Evil. The shaitan will command you with evil and fahsha, immorality. Look at the movies. It's what the Greeks call erotica. Erotica comes from the little Cupid. The Romans called him Cupid, and the Greeks call him Eros. He shoots his arrow at you and you fall in love. Saint Valentine's Day, right? They watch the movie and they're out in space fighting aliens and somebody falls in love. They're under the ocean fighting monsters and somebody falls in love. They're playing baseball or football and somebody falls in love. They're fighting in a war and somebody... Why are they always falling in love? Erotica. What is this doing? It's commanding you, forcing you to do this. Right? And then the new form that it takes is pornography. Pornography comes, you see it now on your cell phone. It's on your laptop. You go into the website, boom, it pops up in front of your face. It's all around you. This is the temptation. This is what is coming at us. It is like never before. This has hit humanity. And it's a serious struggle that we are involved in. And it comes directly from the devil himself. Because in back of a lot of this advertisement, the companies that are there, you will find devilish people, satanic cults, and devilish thinking people trying to take you off the path and to make you lose your shame and lose your sense of modesty. The third part was, the shaitan will make you say about Allah that which you know not. People will try to make up their own religions now. They will try to change the religion like they want, taking it away from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So, in terms of solutions, going back to the United Nations, number 8 of the 10 solutions, number 8, the focus should be, we should have a great focus on leisure time activities. Leisure time activities for people from 15 to 24. What does that mean? On the weekend nights, it's Friday night, Saturday night. What are you going to do on Saturday night? In this part of the world, on the weekend is when they come out to play. They work all week, and then on Friday night, they get involved in craziness, drink alcohol, take drugs, and then on Sunday they go to church and say, oh God, forgive me, if they go to church. And on Monday they go back to work. This is how the society is being set up. And it is impacting on the younger generation, seriously. So, it's something we need to talk about. Especially for the teenagers between 15 and 24, that age group. Usually in communities, there's a program for the young children and then for the adults. But the ones in the middle, there's usually not many programs, and that's where the crisis is. Because what will happen out of this is that two faces will develop. You have one face for the masjid and another face for your friends or for public school. Best if you go to public school. So when you see him at home, he's Bilal. And Bilal is a nice little boy. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. But when he goes to school, he gets an attitude. And he's not Bilal anymore, he's Billy. Ali is Al. Asia is Asia. They change their names. And sometimes they change not only their name, but they change their personality. That's the dangerous part. And you can't blame the young people for this, because the father, he was going to work. His name was Muhammad, so he told the people on the job, just call me Mo. Just call me Mo. It's okay. So he changed his name. And the young boy, he watches his father, and they say, is Mo home? Okay, Mo, Mo, yo, come over here, man, you're home. So the young boy, he changed his name to Billy. But he took it a step further and he changed his attitudes. So one day, Bilal is growing up, and he turns into Billy at school, And when he comes home, he becomes Bilal. And one day, he forgot to change. And when he got home, the father turned around and Billy was standing in front of him. And the father said, it's time for Salat. And Billy said, why? Why do I have to do this? And then a crisis develops. So this is a serious issue. Two faces. The issue of Dhu Wajhain. The Prophet ﷺ said, Tajidu min shirar an-nas indallahi yawm al-qiyamah dhul wajhain alladhi ya'ti ha'ula'i biwajhin wa ha'ula'i biwajh. You will find the most despicable person on the day of judgment is the one with two faces. Dhul wajhain. He comes with one group with one face and another group with another face. So we have to learn how to have one face. And that's not easy today, right? That's not easy. It's going to require courage, knowledge of the Sunnah. The Sunnah is broad. It's not one particular way to carry out things. And that's what the young people need to learn, how to maneuver with Islam and to stay out of the problems. Number 9. This is the solution of the United Nations international problem. What's the solution? The priority area, number 9, is girls and young women. For too long, the programs in the Muslim community only were for males. Only for men, only brothers. Alhamdulillah, this community, things have changed. When I was here some years ago, we would have an Islamic conference, and the men would be in one section talking about Aqidah and Fiqh and Hadith, and the women are in another area having a lecture about Islamic cooking. What is the latest samosa? The most authentic samosa. No, that has to end. The same Aqidah, the same Fiqh, the same Hadith, the same tafsir needs to be studied by the women as well as the men. That's the way it was in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. How could Aisha radiallahu anha report the second most hadith? How could she do that if she didn't have knowledge? That's the way it's supposed to be. So this is a priority area. And number 10 of the priority areas, full participation of the youth in the programs of the community. That's not just youth programs. There should be young people who sit on the leadership in the community. That's the way the Prophet ﷺ used to do it. He had young people sitting next to him and learning how to be leaders. So when it was time for them to take over as leaders, they have no problem. They move right into it. So this is a crucial thing. And this is a serious struggle because as the Quran said, إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ مُبِينٌ. The devil is an open enemy to you. So when these things are coming at us, it's a serious thing. When your shame is being taken away, pornography is a dangerous thing. It's destroying our minds. And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. If you don't have haya, if you don't have modesty, you can't turn your gaze, then do what you want to do. Or you're capable of doing anything. So the first thing they want to break down is your modesty. And then open you up. Just like Nike used to have on their shirts, they used to say, just do it. Remember that? Just do it. What does that mean? Do anything, right? You have no shame, you have no limits, you have no law, just do it. That's how they come at you. And that's the basis of the society. So we need to think about some serious programs. Alhamdulillah, this center is advanced. I can tell by my brothers here and people who have been involved in the field. But what we are saying to young people, spend as much time as you can outside the city in nature. Go hiking, camping, turn off your cell phone. Turn it off. No television. Go in the creation of Allah. then you will see the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go in the creation, go outside, see how Allah has created things. Sleep outside in a tent. Get up in the morning and make fajr outside. Right? Learn manhood, womanhood in the Islamic way, not the gangster way. So this is a crucial thing. Our activities need to be action-oriented. Alhamdulillah, you have a basketball court. Action-oriented. The younger generation needs action to move around. Deal with the issues. And I know that you have, but what I recommend always is that the young people, we form halaqas, circles, and we listen, let the young people talk. Let the young people say what the problem is, and not we telling you what the problem is. We want to hear from you, what is the problem? And I've done that in many countries, and when that happens, you'll be surprised what you hear. So that needs to be done. Our programs need to be structured in an organized fashion, action-oriented programs. Remember these 10 areas, okay? The crises areas: violence, erosion of traditional values, disease, poverty, drugs. 10 priority areas: education, employment, hunger and poverty, health, environment, drug abuse, juvenile delinquency, leisure time activities, girls and young women, full participation of the youth in society and decision making. Full participation. So I leave you with these thoughts, we will come back inshallah to discuss this after salat. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. تكبير تكبير تكبير